Did you see that Antonio Brown? I don't know if you're aware of that. I know you're definitely not on Facebook, but Antonio Brown put on Facebook Live, which is a way to stream, Steve, giving the full social media update on how this works.
Okay.
He streamed live Mike Tomlin's chat with the team after the game last night, in which he used an expletive to refer to the New England Patriots. What do you think Tomlin's saying to Antonio Brown this morning?
If you ever do that again, you're going to be sitting next to me on the sideline. That's the concern, because the locker room, as you know, when coaches start talking to players, it should be a private moment because you're talking of in-house, in the inner circle, and it shouldn't get out unless he has permission to do that. It's like Arthur Blank dancing in the locker room. I don't know if he knew that was going to go viral or not the other day. That was a different deal altogether. But you know what? That happened to me one time, Rich. That happened to me because when I was coaching the Niners, we won a game, and then we learned that we were having to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin, where I used to coach, where I used to love. I grew up a Packer fan. And I told my team, and there was a Fox camera in our locker room, which I didn't really realize, We gave them permission, I guess, but they were there. And I said, I told the team, we're going to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and it's going to be 43 below zero, and we're going to go in there, and you know what? I don't care about the weather. That no big hairy armpit. I mean, and what I meant was, big deal? Big deal. We got to play in the cold weather. Mm-hmm. Okay, that made every headline. I had to answer that every day that week. Were you calling Green Bay a big hairy armpit? I go, are you kidding me? That's where I'm from. Why would I do that? I'm saying it's no big deal to go play in the cold weather. And I was so pissed at them, I wouldn't let them in our locker room the next game because they just they got me. You know what I mean? And that was a moment with me and the team that I didn't know it was going out. They didn't understand what I was talking about, evidently. But so Mike Tomlin's going to have a sit down. Do you remember when we had my first year, 12 Super Bowls ago? I don't know if you were on the chat or not. We were interviewing Jerry Kramer. And
he taped Vince Lombardi's speeches.
Vince Lombardi.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And I looked at him like, are you kidding me? You taped Vince Lombardi in one of his, one of his speeches?
Yep.
If Vince would probably, Coach Lombardi would probably roll over in his grave if he knew that, So some of that stuff is got to be in-house.
So how prevalent is it that a coach would use that sort of language in reference to an opponent?
Didn't see it. What did he say?
Well, no. I mean, look, he referred to the Patriots in a derogatory term. Let's just say it involves a posterior and a hole. Okay, and just I guess
this is my elbow. This is my
butt. Right. So.
Okay.
But how prevalent is it that sort of language is used towards an opponent, and it's just understood in the locker room that he's not disrespecting, but he's just using salty language to fire up the troops?
Come on, I mean, sometimes coaches get fired up. Sometimes players get fired up. Sometimes the language is a little bit different than you would use, elsewhere. It just it doesn't necessarily mean it's derogatory or you have a potty mouth. It just means it's just fired up talk sometimes. Some coaches use that language more than others, and at certain times and you don't expect it to get out. It's what sometimes guys understand, that kind of language. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying it's how it is sometimes, and it's not just in a locker room. It's in the workplace, or it's outside. It's by the water cooler. I don't know. And again, I didn't see it, but sometimes we as coaches get a little carried away and fired up, I guess.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.